Culture leaves an indelible mark on all of us. Whether we try to resist it or not, the culture of the places we live in and the people we spend our time with mold and form us into a different version of ourselves. Culture is, for better or for worse, a living, breathing entity from which there is no escape. The story of how I became fluent in German is really the story of my obsession to fit in. But before we begin, I need to address something. Eine Sprache fließend zu sprechen ist natürlich eine subjektive Sache. Ich habe noch nie Deutsch in einem akademischen Kontext studiert und ich habe auch noch nie einen Deutschtest gemacht. Also ich weiß nicht, auf welchem Niveau ich bin. Ich würde aber sagen, du beherrschst eine Sprache, wenn du ein tiefgründiges Gespräch über komplexe Themen führen kannst. And yes, I know I have my English accent when I speak German, and this definition might be a little controversial. I'll give you another point of view in just a minute, but at least for me, fluent does not mean perfect. It was definitely not a love at first sight situation when I first moved to Germany. In fact, it was much more of an adapt or die situation. Adapt to the host culture or forever feel excluded and sidelined. And for me, the obvious path that I saw in front of me was to learn the language. The language of a country leads into the heart and soul of its people, and this is something that I really wanted to get at. And I have been through the integration mill, for lack of a better word, and I do in many ways feel like I've come out the other side a different person. Now, I love learning about foreign cultures, and I have learned to love German, but it was definitely not like this for me in the beginning. There are hundreds of reasons to love this place, to love living here, and to love the country. For one thing, it's spring right now, and spring really in any country is just a beautiful time of year, a time for hope and the promise of long summer days paint life in rosier tones. But it often frustrates me that no one really focuses on the struggles of travel or moving to a new country, because the reality is it can be incredibly stressful. People tend to focus on the highlight reel, on the fact that everything is so much better in the new place than it was in the old place. But at least in my experience, it is rarely all sunshine and rainbows. After the initial elation of experiencing new things, I went through quite a painful process of adaptation before I managed to really get at the good stuff. Nach meiner Ankunft in Deutschland habe ich gleich mit einem Intensivkurs angefangen, der circa 3 Monate gedauert hat. Es war brutal. Hast du jemals etwas ausprobiert oder etwas Neues begonnen und sich wie ein völliger Versager gefühlt? Ich hatte auf jeden Fall den Eindruck, dass ich die dummste Person im Klassenzimmer war. Also wenn ich ehrlich bin, waren die ersten 3 Monate kein Spaß. Es war eine lange Reihe von peinlichen Momenten und demütigenden Erfahrungen. When you're in that vulnerable place and you've lost all confidence, you tend to start taking things very personally. And I remember being incredibly frustrated, more with myself than with anyone else. Sometimes almost to the point of tears when people just didn't understand me. I often had to repeat myself 2 or 3 times and people still didn't get what I was trying to say, and then I finally had to switch to English. It was just very frustrating, and this, coupled together with a different sense of humor and a whole host of other sort of minute cultural differences, really left me feeling very sort of isolated and misunderstood. So it really was a very tough beginning, but for whatever reason, I carried on. I didn't want to give up yet. Maybe it was because I was young and I needed the money, but I started applying for jobs pretty soon after arriving in Germany. Now, I did get a lot of help with my CV and my job application. It was written in perfect German, so obviously the first interview I managed to get was also in German. Ich habe es damals nicht gemerkt, aber die Personalchefin hat mir später gesagt, dass ich im Vorstellungsgespräch nichts verstanden habe. Das war jetzt, glaube ich, 4 oder 5 Monate nach meiner Ankunft in Deutschland. Sie hat mir wirklich grundlegende Fragen gestellt, wie: Was für eine Ausbildung haben Sie? Oder was hat Sie nach Deutschland verschlagen? Oder erzählen Sie mir ein bisschen über Ihre Arbeitserfahrung. Und ich habe einfach geantwortet mit Sätzen wie: Ja, genau, ja. I think there must have been a guardian angel sitting on my shoulder that day, because for whatever reason, I got a call about a week later telling me that I'd got the job. We all learn differently. Some of us prefer to learn through practical application, and some of us prefer to learn through sort of reading through very highly concise and distilled information, which is why I would love to take a minute to thank today's sponsor, which is Blinkist. Blinkist is a German app which takes the most important lessons from over 5,000 non-fiction books and distills them down into 15 to 20 minute easy to understand bite-sized blinks. A book which I found very interesting was How Language Works by David Crystal, and in it he delves into the importance of language and how it sets us apart from other species. If I were to use his definition of fluency, then the title of this video would be a little bit misleading. English is still very much my dominant language, and even though I feel comfortable speaking German, my range of vocabulary in English is just a lot wider. The best thing is that Blinkist currently have two amazing offers running right now. The first thing is that you can get 25% off Blinkist premium membership, clicking the link in the description below. But not only that, you can actually get 2 accounts for the price of 1. Blinkist Connect is a feature which allows every Blinkist premium plan to be shared by 2 different accounts at no additional cost. This enables you to invite a second account to join your plan for free. Click the link in the description below to start your 7-day no obligation free trial. Test it out and see what you think. To cut a very long story short, the next 6 months were incredibly stressful, very confusing and highly embarrassing. But at the same time, this is when I really started to notice incremental progress in my German. I had really no other choice than to just fumble my way through, and some clients found this kind of charming, some clients found it rather frustrating, and other clients found it absolutely ridiculous and complained. If you didn't know, most jobs in Germany come with a 6-month probationary period. This is really there for the employer and the employee to test out the role and see if it's going to be a good fit or not. And I was, by all accounts, pretty terrible. I think the team was really at their wits' end with all the miscommunication issues. And bear in mind, this is 10 years ago now, when it actually wasn't very normal for shop or restaurant or sort of staff in that sense to not be able to speak German. So towards the end of the 6-month period, my manager sat me down and we had an open and honest conversation, or more accurately, she spoke, and I think I understood about 80% of what she was saying. Sie fragte mich, ob ich da bleiben möchte, ob ich da weiterhin arbeiten möchte, wozu ich ja sagte. Sie war aber allerdings nicht wirklich überzeugt und hat dann wirklich die Frage gestellt, ob das nicht alles ein bisschen zu viel für mich war. Dann habe ich versucht, in meinem gebrochenen Deutsch ihr wirklich zu erklären, dass ich das unbedingt machen wollte und dass ich es nicht bereuen würde. And she took a chance on me and I managed to get the wholly unbefristete Vertrag, or the unlimited contract. And the reason I'm telling you all of this is because this is how I learned my German on the job. And some of you may know that I also learned Chinese when I was living in China, and this was a very different approach in China. A lot of that was learning by rote and sort of memorizing words. And I was really just burnt out by that and did not want to do that with German. And although I still have my English accent and I still make a lot of mistakes, I have gotten to the stage where most Germans prefer to speak German with me rather than English. I ended up staying for 7 years at that first job. I developed a great working relationship with my manager, and it really is thanks to her, and it's thanks to the team, and also thanks to all the clients, especially the clients who threatened to call their lawyers when they were not treated the way they wanted to be treated. Dispute resolution in a foreign language is not the easiest thing to do, but it is really a great way to learn the language, to learn specific terminology, and also to learn how to deal with people. Adapt or die. Learning a language is a lifelong endeavor, and really the best thing we can do is to learn to love learning it. It was not love at first sight, but really an excruciating process, one which I worked very hard at. The beginning is so painful, but once you get over that initial hump, things become a lot clearer and opportunities open up. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.